Before we start World Brief, let's bring you this report. Ogun State, known as the Gateway State, has further widened its gates to the rest of the world as it officially joined Nigeria's growing list of aviation hubs with the commencement of commercial flight operations at the brand new Gateway International Airport in Ikperu, southwest Nigeria. The maiden flight took off on Tuesday morning, marking a major milestone for the state's transport and economic ambitions. Arise international correspondent Adefemi Akinsanya, who, by the way, is also from Ogun State, reports.
It's wheels up for Ogun State's aviation dream. After years of planning and development, the Gateway International Airport in Ikperu has officially started commercial operations with ValueJet operating the inaugural flight to Abuja. Departures from the airport in Ikperu are scheduled every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Passengers can also start their journey in Lagos an hour earlier, then stop off in Ogun State before the short flight onwards to Abuja. Now, the return flight from Abuja is at 4 p.m. on those same days. Tickets for the first flights became available on September 25th through online platforms, accredited agents, and the airport's ticket sale desks, with fares starting from around 65,000 naira each way.
I'm very happy to be here, obviously, and I'm very excited to be on the first flight. It's a great achievement, and it shows the tenacity and the dedication and hard work of our able Governor Dakwa Abiodun.
It's a very wonderful experience.
For Ogun State, this is a game changer. Anybody around the corridors here can travel to any part of the world now with value jets connected on schedule. And air transport is one catalyst that thrives economically. For Ogun State is open to the world, for commerce, for tourism, anything you can think about.
Gateway International Airport was approved back in 2008, but construction only began under Governor Dakwa Abiodun's administration in 2021.
For me, there cannot be a better sense of fulfillment. Like I said earlier, from the conception of this airport as part of our multimodal transport master plan to the beginning of construction and to seeing the first aircraft land here exactly about 2.5 years ago, which was just a test flight, and then to being given the approval to operate private flights, and then to ensure full compliance and actually get the first ever issued aerodrome license in Nigeria, which now meant that we could begin commercial flight operations.
It boasts Nigeria's longest 4-kilometer runway, a modern terminal, and advanced control systems capable of handling both cargo and passenger flights.
For so many reasons, this is a logical location. It's a logical location to have such an investment. As you can see from here, it's actually a cargo airport as well, for import and export, not just for domestic operations, but also for international flights, cargo flights. That's the primary business. We have scheduled commercial services for passengers here because there's a big demand for people in this, what we call catchment area, activity center, the Ijebode, Shagamu, Abeokuta, as far away as Ibadan, and even people going halfway to Lagos, they would rather come here than go all the way to Lagos to catch a flight, because it'll take them 1 hour to get to Lagos and then an hour for the flight to wait, to check in and all that. So why not just come here? And as you can see, this is our inaugural flight, and it's fully loaded.
Passengers on the maiden flight described the experience as smooth and symbolic of progress for Ogun State.
And I'm so happy to be the first person to enter through Ikperu to Abuja. In fact, it's very, very interesting. If Ogun State can improve more than this, so that we shall soon be entering international airport from here instead of going to Lagos. So I'm very, very happy. So glad indeed.
And for ValueJet, the business partnership made perfect sense.
Why did we, ValueJet, choose to come here? Because we see prospect here. We see a great opportunity, things Nigerians can't see right now. We've all been past cargo operators, and the proximity from Lagos to Ogun will almost remind you of the proximity from Stansted to London, or from Ostend to Belgium, or from Sharjah to Dubai. It's just the right place. The airport is actually situated where it's best situated at. Lagos will be congested. The proximity from Lagos is not that far, and the east is just around the corner. Majority of the cargo coming to Nigeria is going to the east. You haven't even seen anything yet. Let the cargo start.
Well, from cleared land to cleared skies, clearly Ogun State's aviation ambition is taking off. Adefemi Akinsanya, Arise News here at the Gateway International Airport in Iperu, Ogun State.
Joining us now for World Brief and the review of some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Adefemi Akinsanya, who is going to celebrate Ogun State today.
Always.
Ogun State deserves to be celebrated.
Just.
And then she will tell us other things
Absolutely.
happening around the world.
I should have flown here from Iperu to Lagos just to show you that our state is working. Like, yes. I hope you're not jealous. That
we had the E1 over the weekend.
Really?
The E1 championships.
There's that, but we've forgotten about that. Now we're talking about Ogun State International Airport. Congratulations to our governor. All right, that's me. Good morning to you all.
Happy birthday in advance to Mom you.
Rufai! We still have a few more days, please, but thank you. Yes, all righty. Friends, let me tell you what's happening around the world. Now, I love it when we get to discuss geopolitics and sports. This time, we have Italy saying that it's going to submit a proposal to the United Nations calling for a global ceasefire ahead of next year's Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. So what Italy wants to do is create a global truce during the Olympic dates where warring factions will agree to put down their arms for the duration of the event so that athletes in war-torn countries can safely travel to and from the games. It is going to be a tough feat, as calling, the Olympics organization and their organizers, the UN, for global ceasefires has not yet been adopted. They've not been able to do so since 1896. Which was the start of the modern era of the Olympics. And not even during Paris Olympics 2024, which, as we know, took place against the backdrop of Ukraine and Gaza and Sudan, all of the like. So the Milano Cortina Games will be held from February 6th to February 22, which is next year, 2026. So we'll have to see if that event will be any different. Now, coming home to the African continent, and we are not strangers to the effect of fuel scarcity here in Nigeria, but over in Mali, the capital Bamako is facing severe fuel shortages as citizens are forced to queue for hours for what remains. Now, the militant group Jamaat Nusrat al-Islamiyat Muslim, which is affiliated with Al-Qaeda, has been imposing a blockade on fuel imports into Bamako. So you can see here, these are fuel drivers being unable to bring fuel into the country. Their trucks are being set alight. It's causing all of the queuing that you're seeing in the Mali capital, Bamako. And a lot of these fuel imports are coming over from Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire. Since early September, they have been facing this disruption. Now, over 100 tankers have reportedly been destroyed. Drivers have been killed or taken hostage. It is an awful situation. Now, the blockade has also led to fuel shortages in the capital and a sharp rise in fuel prices. Now, again, finally, we are staying on the African continent for our last World Brief story. Let's take a look at Eswatini. It has continued to accept, it has now confirmed the arrival of 10 or more individuals deported from the United States under President Donald Trump's administration's controversial third country deportation agreement. Now, the 10 deportees are nationals of several Southeast Asian countries, including Vietnam, the Philippines, and Cambodia. They follow a previous group of 5 deportees which were sent in July, bringing Eswatini's role in U.S. policy of accepting non-citizens whose home countries don't want them back, refuse to repatriate them, into sharper focus. So those are your stories on the World Brief. I will come to you for your comments, but let's first take a look at our newspapers. Moving on to newspaper headlines, let's take a look at the front page of This Day. This Day does have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has accepted the resignation of Science and Technology Minister Jeffrey Uche Nnaji following allegations of forced academic and NYSC certificates. Investigations by UNM and NYSC reportedly found that no records supporting the document he submitted were found. Nnaji has denied any wrongdoing, but says he resigned to avoid distracting the administration administration, and a replacement is expected soon. Also on the front page of this day, INEC chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has begun his pre-exit leave ahead of the end of his tenure. He has handed over to May Agbamuche Mbu, who is the most senior National Commissioner. Agbamuche Mbu is also the former This Day General Counsel, and she was the immediate previous law editor of This Day newspaper. So it is a little champion for the Arise family, the Arise This Day family too. Moving on to the Daily Trust, we now know that the stage is set for President Tinubu to appoint a new INEC chairman following the exit of Mahmoud Yakubu, who stepped down on Tuesday, as we know, after his 10-year tenure ended. So I think it is supposed to formally come to an end in November. Now, the presidency shortlisted 3 candidates, Professor Ojo Amupitan, Justice Abdullahi Mohammed, and Professor Lai Oloride as people in the running. We are yet to really confirm who the president will choose. And we do know, as I mentioned, that May Agbamuche Mbu will take over INEC in its acting capacity. We can see her there in that dapper blue blazer. As I said, it is lovely to see a woman in another position of power. Let's move on to the Daily Sun. The Daily Sun this morning does lead also with this blowback surrounding the minister, Uche Naji. He has resigned. As I said, he has not accepted any real-life wrongdoing, but he says he doesn't want to constitute any more of a distraction to the presidency. Let's move on to our next newspaper, and we are looking at the leadership this morning. Now, the leadership, off the back of that, it is calling for stricter vetting processes so that we don't see something like this happen. So again, it is the lead story. This alleged certificate forgery, the science minister resigning, but also many people calling for perhaps a closer eye being looked at for other ministers. Perhaps he may not be the only one, who knows. Let's move on to the New Telegraph. Now, the New Telegraph does lead this morning with President Tinubu seeking Rep's approval to borrow $2.35 billion and also issue a $500 million sovereign sukuk. So, I mean, we're hearing that against the backdrop of no more budget extensions coming from Minister Wale Odun. So, I mean, something to consider there too. Let's take a look at the Daily Independent. The Daily Independent has there being a 2/3 of Nigerian children. Just this story here, 2 out of 3 Nigerian children are suffering food poverty. That is according to UNICEF. Nigeria ranks #1 in Africa and #2 globally in child malnutrition. These are awful, awful statistics. And then moving on to The Guardian of Nigeria. The Guardian takes a look at reports that the new Senate bill proposes a 10-year international passport ban for Nigerians convicted of crimes abroad. Now, this bill has been sponsored by Senator Bello Sani. The bill, it's supposed to deter criminal activity and restore confidence in the Nigerian passport. Now, Senate President Godswill Akpabio described it as a bold step to reclaim the nation's global image. The bill has passed second reading and awaits further committee reviews. Let's take a look at some UK papers. Let's take a look at the UK Guardian this morning. Now, some controversy there. So you got Robert Jenrick, who Kemi Badenoch beat out to become the leader of the Conservative Party. He's been accused of fueling toxic nationalism after race remarks that he made. Now, he said that he saw no white faces in Birmingham's Handsworth area. Community leaders, he had gone on a visit in that area of Birmingham and basically said he didn't see any white people. But community leaders are saying that they are offended by those comments and say that they are proud of the diversity in their community. That story still finds itself on the front page of the Metro UK. Meanwhile, the Metro does report that angry residents are demanding an apology from Robert Jenrick, saying that no whites don't make a wrong, Bob. So let's see if Bob responds with an apology. Lastly, let's take a look at the Daily Express, which brings, a big friend of the house, Kemi Badenoch. We are looking at her once again, and it does show that Kemi Badenoch has pledged to put the UK's economy back on track. She accused Labour of stealing from our children and grandchildren with high taxes and debt, urging voters to trust her to deliver stronger growth. Kemi Badenoch, as we know, is fighting for political survival as the leader of the Tory party because Jenrick himself has been trying to rally support for a vote of no confidence. Those are your well-briefed stories and your newspapers. Love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much, Femi. Where do we start from? Okay, let me quickly start from the role of peace and Olympics and all of that and what the Italians are trying to push. I mean, it's a good move. We've always, tried to push peace in terms of war around sports. Yeah. During the Civil War in this country, I think Pele came to play And I mean, there were stories, it was not empirically verified, that there was a ceasefire across all fronts that day when Pelé came to play in the thick of the civil war in Nigeria. And also, if you go back, I think to the First or Second World War, where there was a day, I think it was on Christmas Day truce, where the German soldiers and other soldiers declared a truce. They both had a football match, and the next day started killing each other again.
Yeah.
So sports has always been a unifying factor. If they can pull this off, it's going to be well. You remember during the Olympics, they went ahead with sport and they used it as a tool to call for peace in that region.
Correct.
As regards Mali, what is really happening is because of a terrorist group. They are blocking supplies from Cote d'Ivoire and other countries and all of that. So it's also an insecurity problem. And somebody will have thought that the military leader of Mali, Assimi Goïta, will have been able to, stem the tide of that, because when he came in, what he said was they were going to stem the tide of all of these killings and this Islamist group and all of that. But many years after, they've not been able to do that. And that's the pain that comes out of Mali. As regards Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch, truth is, Kemi's quite low on ideas. She's just trying to say everything possible and play the politics to be able to stay on in that position. And with due respect, I saw a video that emerged, I think on Daily Momodu's page. Kemi does not hate Nigeria. All of this is politics. I saw that video. That was her speech she gave during her father's funeral or something. A couple of years ago, I think it was during COVID period. And it was very warm, the relationship, And in fact, she talked about how her father used to send her messages about what was happening in Nigerian politics and everything. And she would be like, okay, put this away for a bit. I'm in parliament, I'm defending on all of that, I'm tackling a bill and all of that. Yeah. So it shows that all of this is just politics. But when she says she wants to put the UK economy back on ground, what are they going to do? They are always very low on ideas. Are you going to stimulate the economy? Are you going to go the least trust way? What are you going to do? He's still low on ideas. There's no innovation. There's nothing form of development. Robert Jenrick, too, is playing that game he's playing because there's now a contestation between the Tory party and Reform. They want to be more right-wing than Reform. The problem is the Reform party is beating them, like the Farage of this world, is beating them at their game of being right-wing.
This is it.
So it's a big contestation going on among both flanks here.
Thank you, Rufai.
It'll be difficult to beat the Reform Party in being right-wing because they're far-right, and there'll be internal opposition because in the Conservative Party you have those who are hard right and you have those who are more more middle in that regard. So what Farage is playing politics. He was Brexit Party initially. He's now moved to Reform Party. He's using rhetorics around race to buy in the love of the people, and it's working for him. He's number one when it comes to opinion polls. YouGov recently, Labour Party is second, Conservative is trailing at number 3.
Yes.
But let me come to Eswatini, in Southern Africa, and the fact that they've deported 10 people to Eswatini. The big challenge here is the fact that there's a matter in court put forward by human rights group who are challenging the government receiving deportees from the United States of America. Remember that this deal ensures that Eswatini gets $5.1 million for, to go towards migration and things like that, even though it's questionable. But it's the respect of the rule of law, the respect of the courts, and Eswatini moving away from monarchy, a monarchy system of government, to more parliamentary, which they've tried to do in the last few years. It's been a monarchy since 1986, but what they're saying is that the matter is in court. Why not allow the court to rule before you continue? That it's an impunity for them to continue to receive deportees from the United States of America whilst the matter is still in court. Other countries, neighboring countries, because Eswatini, which was once called Swaziland, is landlocked, has Mozambique and South Africa bordering it. Other countries around them are also afraid because of the kind of criminals that are being deported from the United States of America and the fact that there might be a jailbreak and they just get into South Africa. So even with regards to support from their neighboring countries, that's not quite there. Again, it raises the question around, at what point will African countries speak up and stand up for themselves and not let America or financial inducements make them compromise the safety and security of their nation and their people, at this level. But I don't know if what's going to happen. It's a breakdown of the rule of law and a lack of respect for the courts.
Okay, very quickly. I mean, I think the key point about Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, and the crisis in Mali and the Al-Qaeda is just show again a reaffirmation of the extent of the crisis in the Sahel region. Now, insurgents now are making it very difficult for the supply of oil to Mali, finished product PMS, from whether Ivory Coast or Senegal or Mauritania. In addition, they are kidnapping persons, and the group is called the JNIM. So the story is, very familiar. But the problem is that it's the economy of Mali that is affected. The economies of the neighboring countries are also affected.
Yes.
And that's why I think there is need for security cooperation. It already exists under some framework, but there should be a deepening of the security cooperation among the, the West African countries and also the Sahel region. Where is ECOWAS in all of this? If tomorrow the situation escalates and we have a crisis in Mali, AU will come forward, ECOWAS will come forward, but now they have an opportunity to support Mali. The only problem, however, in that regard, is that what you have in place is a military government in Mali that assumed power in the year 2020 and 2021. So it's a regional problem, in other words, that should be seen in that light rather than, a problem for the country of Mali. Now, with regard to Italy, saying that the Winter Olympics that will be held between February 21 and, next year, in 2026, that there should be a cessation of conflicts. This is not new. Now, the Olympics, the original Olympics, people going to Olympia in the 18th century or whatever,
Not Olympia.
they used to ask for a cessation of conflicts to allow people to make it to Olympia. But that has not happened since, the Olympic Games, the modern Olympics, were brought back. So you have that missing point. So what Italy is trying to do is to return to that past, to say, look, when there is Olympic Games, even if it's Winter Olympics, people should cease, hostilities. It's called soft diplomacy. If they succeed with their proposal, which they have put forward to the United Nations Security Council, it will position Italy very well, doing well with regard to soft diplomacy. Will show up Italy as a country that is defending the cause of peace. Will promote tourism because more people will be able to go to Italy during that period. So what Italy is proposing, by way of summary, is rooted in ancient Israel. It's trying to promote unity, goodwill, peace. But would they be able to achieve this objective? There is war between Russia and Ukraine. There is war between Israel and Hamas. We don't even know how the ceasefire meetings that started on Monday will work out. And the UN itself, the other question, is that somebody may block it, at the Security Council level. But the whole idea is about using sports to promote amity, to promote peace, to promote unity.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Adefemi. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Are you going to any new country, state? Because you never can tell.
No, as for Ogun State, you brought up Ogun State.
Yes.
No, we need to celebrate that too.
Yes, we do.
Ogun State is the gateway to Nigeria.
Please.
And Prince Dr. Dapo Abiodun has proven that he's committed to the idea of Ogun State as the gateway. And in Iperuremo, we now have an airport where for you to move from that part of the country to Abuja, it's just 45 minutes.
Just like
that airport that airport will serve the purpose of all the neighboring states.
Exactly.
People who have issues with Lagos Airport, your airport in Lagos is always an issue. No, Ogun State is now open for everybody.
In unison, real quickly, me, you, and
Which unison? I'm on the same.
me, you, and Femi. 1, 2, 3, go. Isheya,
ọmọ Ògùn, Ìṣẹ́yà, Iṣẹ́ wà fún wa láti ṣe ọmọ Ògùn, ẹ ṣe kíá.
Please. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
We have a better airport. No, we have a better airport than their own. Thank you, Dr. Dapo Abiodun. Thank you for pushing the envelope.
Thank you so much. I didn't know.